I never thought I'd be the guy writing something like this, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I've been with my wife, Lisa, for about 5 years now. We met in college. She was the girl everyone wanted, and I was just the guy who got lucky. Things seemed perfect at first. We moved in together, got engaged, and then finally the wedding was coming up. I thought we had it all figured out, at least I did. The signs started subtly, little things here and there. Lisa's phone kept lighting up at weird times, late at night or when she thought I wasn't looking. She'd quickly hide it or shut it off. She became distant, distracted even when we were supposed to be planning the wedding. I'd catch her looking at her phone, quick to hide it when I walked into the room. I brushed it off at first, thinking maybe she was just stressed out about the upcoming ceremony. But then the odd texts started to appear. Nothing explicit at first, just little flirty messages. I'd see her giggling at her phone when she thought I wasn't paying attention. Sometimes she'd get defensive. "It's just a friend." She'd say, "You're being paranoid." That's what she always said when I brought up my concerns, but I knew better. Something wasn't right. One night, a week before the wedding, I noticed her phone was unusually active. I was sitting on the couch and she was in the kitchen typing away. I casually glanced over her shoulder and there it was. A message from someone named Jake that read, "Can't wait to see you tonight, missed you all day." My stomach sank. My heart started pounding. I knew those weren't just friendly texts. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. That's when I realized that the woman I loved, the woman I was about to marry, was hiding something. I didn't jump to conclusions then. I waited. I needed proof. Over the next few days, I found more messages, more intimate, more revealing. She was sneaking around, meeting him, probably behind my back. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't imagining things. The woman I thought I knew was lying to my face about everything. And I felt so betrayed, so stupid for not seeing it sooner. The worst part, she kept insisting she loved me, that I was overreacting, that Jake was just a friend, that she'd never do anything to ruin what we had. But the messages told a different story. They told me she was cheating on me, probably right under my nose during the time I was planning the wedding, dreaming about our future. I felt sick, angry, confused. How could she lie so effortlessly? How could she cheat on me at my own wedding rehearsal dinner, right before I was supposed to say I do? It was all buried deep inside, buried under her lies, her bitchy attitude, and her constant gaslighting. I started questioning everything. Was I ever truly loved? Did I mean anything to her at all? Or was I just some guy she kept around while she had her fun with Jake? All those months I spent thinking she was the one, the love of my life, suddenly felt meaningless. And I knew, deep down, I couldn't just let her get away with it. Not without consequences. I wasn't going to be the fool who got played and never fought back. I had to plan my move. I had to take control of this mess. After I found those messages, everything changed. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, and every time I closed my eyes, I saw her laughing with Jake, touching him, whispering things I never thought I'd hear her say about anyone, let alone someone I considered my best friend. I felt rage boiling inside me, mixed with a profound sadness that I couldn't shake. The woman I married, the woman I thought was my partner for life, was out there having sex with my best friend. That wasn't just betrayal, that was a punch in the stomach, a gut punch that knocked the wind out of me. I knew I had to confront her. I couldn't keep living in this denial, pretending everything was fine when I'd caught her in a lie. The night I decided to bring it up, I felt like I was walking to my own execution. My heart was pounding so loud I thought everyone in the house could hear it. I waited until she was alone in the living room, scrolling on her phone like she had no idea I was about to drop a bomb. "Lisa," I started, trying to keep my voice steady, but it cracked anyway. "I know what you've been doing." She looked up, her eyes flickering with annoyance, then quickly twisting into that bitchy sneer she always wore when she was about to lie her way out of something. "What are you talking about, Mike? You're overthinking this," she snapped. "It's none of your business. I don't have to explain myself." I pulled out my phone and showed her the messages. Her face immediately turned defensive, her lips curling into a dismissive smirk. "Those aren't what you think," she said, crossing her arms. "Jake's just a friend. You're jealous or you're just insecure. Maybe you're the one who's been cheating on me, huh?" That's when I lost it. The rage I'd been suppressing for days exploded. "Don't lie to me," I yelled. "You've been sneaking around, you've been cheating on me with Jake. Right at my own rehearsal dinner, Lisa. How could you? How could you do that to me on the night I was supposed to marry you?" She rolled her eyes, still acting like I was the crazy one. "You're such a drama queen, Mike. You always blow things out of proportion. Maybe you're just mad I don't want to be stuck with a boring guy like you anymore. Jake's just a distraction, nothing serious." Her voice was dripping with contempt, and I could see that she was trying to gaslight me to make me doubt myself. But I wasn't buying it anymore. Something inside me shattered that night. Her words, her lies, they all sounded so hollow now. I could see the truth behind her facade. She was a bitchy, manipulative woman who thought she could get away with anything, that she could lie her way out of this. But I knew better. I knew she was cheating, and I knew she had been lying to my face for months. My trust was broken. Everything I believed in was crumbling. I felt tears stinging my eyes, not from sadness but from pure, raw anger. All the love I'd felt for her, everything we built, was turning into ashes right in front of me. I realized I wasn't just angry at her betrayal. I was devastated that I'd been so blind, so naive. I thought she loved me, but she was just using me, stringing me along while she played her little game with Jake. That night I didn't sleep. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking about what to do next. I had to make a decision: confront her again, call her out publicly, or just cut her loose and walk away. But one thing was clear: I wasn't going to let her make a fool out of me anymore. I'd be damned if I let her get away with cheating, especially not at my wedding rehearsal dinner. I was ready to fight for myself, for my dignity, and for whatever shred of respect I had left. I didn't know what that meant yet, but I knew I couldn't go on living like this, not after what I'd seen and learned. The next few days after that confrontation were almost unbearable. I kept replaying everything in my head: her sneering excuses, the way she lied with such ease, the way she looked at me like I was some kind of obstacle she had to get past. I felt a mix of everything: anger, hurt, confusion, and a deep, gnawing sense of betrayal. I'd always thought I was solid, trustworthy, dependable. But now I wasn't sure I knew her at all. I knew I needed to gather more evidence if I wanted to make her own lies crumble. I started secretly checking her phone when she wasn't looking, going through her emails, her social media, trying to find anything that would confirm what I already suspected but didn't have concrete proof of. That's when I found the texts from Jake again, more recent ones, full of flirtation and promises. But I also found something else: screenshots of their plans, talk about meeting up somewhere private, details about where to go, what to do. It was then I realized I couldn't just confront her again. I needed a plan, a way to catch her red-handed, to make her see that I wasn't some fool she could manipulate anymore. I started thinking about how to set her up, how to make her slip, to expose her for good. I didn't want to just walk away from this. I wanted her to see that I knew everything, that I had all the proof she'd ever hide. One evening, I decided to go through her messages with Jake more carefully. I found a pattern. She was planning to meet him that very night at some hotel downtown. That was the final straw. I couldn't let her do this again. I decided I'd follow her. But I also knew I had to do it smart, make sure I had enough evidence, and maybe even catch her in the act. I wanted her to know I was onto her, not just some jealous husband, but someone who had truly caught her out. So I staged it. I told her I was going out for a late meeting with some friends, knowing she was planning to meet Jake. I hid in my car, parked a few blocks away, watching her slip out of the apartment with her little bag. She looked sneaky, hurried, but confident, like she thought she'd get away with it again. I felt my fists tight, my stomach clench with a mixture of adrenaline and disgust. I wasn't just going to sit back and let her cheat on me anymore. When she arrived at the hotel, I followed at a safe distance. I saw her walk into the lobby, check in at the front desk, a woman who seemed so confident, so full of herself. I stayed outside, parked nearby, listening to my racing thoughts. I knew I could just go in and confront her then and there, but I felt I needed something more. I needed her to see I wasn't just some gullible husband anymore. I was a man who had uncovered her secret and was prepared to expose it. A little while later, her phone buzzed. She looked at it, clearly excited. She texted Jake, probably confirming their plans. I snapped a quick photo of her with my phone, making sure I had concrete proof. Then I took a deep breath, realizing that tonight I'd finally put an end to her lies. I wasn't sure what I'd do with the evidence yet, but I knew I'd make her regret ever crossing me. I'd be damned if I let her walk all over me like this. My mind kept racing, trying to figure out the next move. I didn't want to do something impulsive, but I also didn't want to wait around for her to come back and deny everything again. I was ready to confront her with everything I'd found, ready to face whatever storm was coming. The betrayal had cut so deep, but I also knew I needed to take control of the situation. No more hiding, no more pretending. This was it. The night I finally took back some power. The next morning I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. My head was pounding and the weight of everything I'd discovered hit me anew. I knew I couldn't keep going like this, living in limbo, pretending I didn't know what she was doing behind my back. I had to decide what to do, and I had to do it fast. The evidence I gathered last night was solid. I had her in her own lies, caught red-handed at the hotel with Jake. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at my phone, trying to figure out the best way to confront her. I debated whether I should just come clean, tell her I knew everything, and see how she'd react. Or should I wait? Sting her a little longer, let her think she's still in control. But deep down, I knew I didn't want to wait. I needed her to feel the full weight of her betrayal, to understand that I wasn't going to let her manipulate me anymore. So I made a plan. I called her, pretending everything was normal, trying to keep my voice even. "Hey, Lisa," I said casually, "can we talk when you get back? There's something I want to discuss." She didn't sound suspicious, at least not yet, just annoyed. "Fine," she replied, "but it better be quick, I have plans later." When she finally came home, her face was all attitude, like she had already convinced herself she'd get away with everything. She walked into the apartment all bitchy and dismissive, and I just looked at her. No more hiding, no more pretending I didn't know. I told her straight, "Lisa, I know about you and Jake. I saw the messages, the hotel last night. I know you've been lying for months." Her eyes widened for a brief second, then she rolled her eyes and scoffed. "Oh, please, Mike, you're overreacting, you're crazy. You're just jealous because I don't want to be some boring housewife anymore. Jake's just a sex thing and you're just insecure." That's her usual bullshit, twist the story, turn it around on me. I could see her trying to gaslight me again, to make me doubt myself. But I wasn't falling for it. I didn't want to hear her lies anymore. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the pictures I took her at the hotel, texting Jake, planning the next meetup. "No more lies, Lisa," I said. "This is over, I've had enough. I can't believe I married someone who's capable of this kind of betrayal, especially at our wedding rehearsal dinner. How long have you been doing this? How many times?" She stared at me, stunned, then her face twisted into that familiar bitchy sneer. "You don't get to accuse me of anything. You're just jealous, like I said. You're insecure, and honestly, you're not even that good in bed. Maybe that's why I looked elsewhere." She spat the last part out like it was nothing. That was the moment I realized I'd been living a lie for so long, convincing myself she loved me. But she hated me, she resented me, and she'd been cheating on me with my best friend, Jake. That realization hit me hard. All the times I'd tried to be patient, to believe her lies, that was all pointless. The woman I thought I knew was a manipulative, lying bitch. I stood there staring at her, trying to hold back the flood of emotions. Anger, humiliation, heartbreak, all at once. I felt like I was losing my mind. How could she betray me like this, especially with someone I trusted so much? How could she look me in the eyes and lie so effortlessly? I thought about everything, our plans, our future, the moments I thought she loved me. Turns out she only loved herself. I knew then I had to make a decision. I couldn't stay with her. Not after this. Not after she'd shown me her true face. I told her I was done, packing my things, and that I never wanted to see her again. She looked furious, bitchy even, but I didn't care anymore. I'd been a fool for so long, but not anymore. I wasn't going to let her ruin me. As I walked out that door, I felt a strange mix of relief and emptiness. I had lost the woman I thought I loved, but I had also regained my dignity. I knew this was the end of the line for us. And honestly, I felt a strange sense of freedom. I was finally going to start healing from this mess, even if it was going to hurt like hell for a while. because at least now I knew the truth, and that was better than any lie she could ever tell me. The days that followed were the hardest I've ever experienced. Walking away from her, knowing she'd lied to my face, cheating on me with Jake during what I thought was the happiest time of my life, our wedding, our future, felt like having my heart ripped out. I'd never felt so betrayed, so humiliated. Every time I thought about her, about Jake, about the lies, I felt this burning anger that wouldn't let up. But at the same time, there was this strange weight lifting off my shoulders. I was finally free of the lie, free from her manipulations, and I could breathe again. The first few days, I kept replaying everything, trying to figure out if I'd missed signs, if I could have done something differently. But deep down, I knew I'd done all I could. She was a bitchy, dishonest woman who played her game so well. I'd been blind to it for years. The shock was slowly fading, replaced by an undeniable sense of clarity. I'd been a fool to trust her blindly, to ignore all the red flags. But now that I knew the truth, I saw everything clearly. I started making plans to move out, get my life back on track. I reached out to some friends, told them everything, and surprisingly, they were supportive. I also started to see how much I'd been holding on to her, her lies, her cheatings, out of love, out of hope that maybe things would get better. But they wouldn't. Not with her. Not with Jake. Not with the woman who'd been so bitchy, so manipulative, so full of shit. One thing I refused to do was let her have the last word. I didn't want to be that guy who begged or tried to justify himself. I just wanted to get out, clean break, start healing. So I filed for divorce. The process was quick, and honestly, I didn't fight much. I knew I deserved better than someone who'd cheat on me at my own wedding rehearsal dinner. I deserved someone who would love me, not lie and cheat behind my back. The aftermath was brutal, though. I felt numb for a while, then angry, then empty. I'd lost so much trusting her, believing in us. But in a strange way, I also felt a sense of relief. I didn't have to live that lie anymore. I could finally be honest with myself. That woman, Lisa, was no longer part of my life. I realized I'd wasted so much time hoping she'd change, that she really loved me. Turns out she was just using me as a backup, as a fool she could cheat on with her best friend. Now I'm focusing on myself, rebuilding, finding out who I am without her. It's not easy, and I won't pretend I've moved on completely, but I'm getting there. And honestly, I hope anyone reading this who's going through similar heartbreak understands you can survive this. You can come out of it stronger. No matter how much it hurts, no matter how betrayed you feel, you'll find a way. Just don't let the bitchy ones like her win. They're not worth your tears. Looking back, I've learned that trust is fragile, that people can hide so much behind a pretty face or a fake smile, and that sometimes love isn't enough. It's trust, honesty, loyalty, all the things she threw away. But I'll be okay. I know I will. And someday I'll find someone who actually loves me, who doesn't cheat, who doesn't lie. Until then, I'm just going to focus on healing and making sure I never get played like that again. Honestly, I never thought I'd get to this point, but I finally feel like I'm starting to breathe again. The betrayal cut deep, but what hurt more was realizing how long I'd been blind to her true nature. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs, how I let her manipulate me for so long. But then I remembered something important. I was with her because I believed in us, because I wanted to believe that she loved me. Now I see clearly, her love was just a facade, a game she played to keep me hooked. I've learned a lot from this experience, lessons I'd never wish on anyone, but lessons I wouldn't trade for anything. First, never ignore your gut. If something doesn't feel right, it probably is. Second, don't turn a blind eye to red flags just because you're afraid of losing someone. And third, trust has to be earned, not given away freely. Once it's broken, it's damn near impossible to repair, especially when lies are involved. Looking back, I realize I was holding on to hope for too long. Hope that she'd change, hope that she still loved me, hope that things would somehow get better. But hope is a dangerous thing when it blinds you to reality. Her bitchy attitude, the lies, her constant manipulation, those weren't signs of love. They were signs of someone who didn't care about me at all. Now I've started to rebuild my life. I've cut ties, moved out, and started therapy to deal with everything. I know I'll never fully forget what happened, but I also know I don't have to let it define me. I've learned to value myself more, to see my worth beyond her lies. And I've realized that I deserve someone who's honest, loyal, and respectful, someone who won't cheat or lie just to get her way. To anyone reading this who's still stuck in the aftermath of betrayal, I want to say, you're not alone. You're stronger than you think. It's okay to feel hurt, angry, even broken. But don't let it consume you. Keep fighting, keep healing. Because one day, you'll look back and see that all this pain was just a chapter, not the end of your story. You'll find happiness again, maybe not with her, but with someone who truly cares. And when that happens, you'll realize the betrayal was just a lesson in disguise, teaching you what you really deserve and showing you how much stronger you are than you ever knew.